Hello friends and welcome back to another edition of the Pro Tour Gauntlet, this time for Pro Tour Eldritch Moon. First on the list we have Lukas Blohon's Black-White Pro Tour winning deck from Eldritch Moon. As you can see the list here, lots of Planeswalkers, lots of removal, lots of control strategies, and in a meta with a ton of Emrakul, the Promised Ends, Lukas was able to really dominate here. So let's get down to the match and see what happens. Here we are for our Pro Tour Gauntlet simulation match with Lukas Blohon's Black-White deck. We are on the draw, but unfortunately we only have a 1-lander, so we're going to have to ship this back, but hopefully we can get a nice 6. This isn't exactly the best 6. You're looking for more card draw, such as Read the Bones or removal spells, but I don't think you can go down to 5 with this one, so I'm going to give it a shot and see what we got. Hey, and there's a Read the Bones, and I think we're just going to happily scry that on top. I might even cycle this Hollowed Moonlight on turn 2, depending on what the opponent's doing here. Alright, so Game Trail Revealing Mountain could definitely signify Teamer Emerge. That's one of the more popular decks to come out of Pro Tour Eldritch Moon. So this is kind of, if this is Owen's list, it'll be a replay of the finals, which would be sweet. Hangerback Walker. Okay, so that's more than likely going to be like Ken Yukuhiro's red-green ramp list with Teamer, well not Teamer rather, with Emrakul at the top end. Hangerback Walker's pretty good versus, rather Hollowed Moonlight's pretty good versus Hangerback Walker. Lily on the draw for us, not so amazing here. It'd be nice if I was on the play and would have been able to shoot that off, but we'll have to see what we're doing. Again, I think I might still just cycle this Hollowed Moonlight at another turn. We have Kalitas for getting rid of the Hangerback Walker, since Hangerback Walker reads when it dies, and Kalitas exiled. So I think we just want to cycle and see if we can find some more lands. And sure enough, we do. We find a Shambling Vent, and then naturally draw a Ruinous Path for the turn. I think I'm going to go ahead and just Read the Bones here. We should be able to set up a black source for next turn. Hopefully, anyways. The deck runs a large percentage of swamps, and there we see one there. So I'm definitely going to keep the swamp. The question is, do I want the Grasp of Darkness as well? And I think the answer is yes. Hangerback Walker will be able to kill on curve after playing Kalitas. So that seems good to me. We'll keep both of these and ship it back to the opponent. Again, if this is indeed Ken Yukuhiro's list, they have Chandra and a lot of other annoying cards that you're going to want to deal with. But it looks like the opponent's just playing a land and upgrading their Hangerback Walker. Again, I get to play Kalitas here, and then if they don't deal with it, Grasp of Darkness is going to be able to take that out next turn. Exiling it, meaning they're not going to get the 1/1 tokens. All right, and it looks like they're just passing the turn, which is great for me, obviously. This could signify... No, I guess there is no Emerged card I'm worried about. The Emerged cards are blue, the ones that have flash. So I think here we're just going to play the Shambling Vent and pass. I'm not going to attack, because that gives the opponent opportunity to respond, block, maybe tap. And then if I try to grasp and they have something, then I can get wrecked. But I'm just going to pass here. I'm sure they're going to end of turn Hangerback Walker, and I can Grasp of Darkness it in response. And again, if Kalitas doesn't die in response to my Grasp of Darkness, well, then their Hangerback Walker just got no value. And that's exactly what we see here. Fiery Impulse looks like taking care of my zombie token. But now I get to just attack with Kalitas and hold up Archangel Avacyn. So if opponent's game plan is, Chandra or something, I can just Avacyn EOT and get some nice value here. Looks to be in good shape for now. The funny thing is the narrative of Pro Tour Eldritch Moon was that this Black-White deck did not generally have a favorable matchup versus all of the Emrakul decks, but spoiler alert, if you weren't watching, it ended up taking down the whole thing. All right, World Breaker here. I think that's a 1-of in their deck, targeting my Shambling Vent. So we're going to go ahead and float a white in response, and then just bring Big Mama our Avacyn down. Well, Languish not very good versus this deck. I get to Ruinous Path here and Liliana, which seems pretty good. Yeah, that seems like the best line. I can also just Ruinous Path and make Kalitas huge by sacrificing the zombie. That's also another decent option, I think. That would transform Archangel Avacyn if I were to do that, by the way. I think that's worth it. I think we're going to go with that. It makes our creatures very, very large next turn. Rather, Avacyn very, very large next turn, and Kalitas big this turn. That's going to put the opponent down to 5 life. Liliana really not doing much for me here anyways, so I think this is an okay play. The opponent has to deal with both of my creatures now. Grapple with the Past, certainly not going to cut it, although Grapple has made huge waves at the Pro Tour, so that's good to note. All right, so looks like we got there off of some nice timely removal in Avacyn. Let's look at our sideboard now. I was watching the Pro Tour, but unfortunately I did not get a chance to see the sideboarding options that Lukas made. But from what I can tell, Languishes are going to be terrible. Hollowed Moonlight is okay. Grasp of Darkness, Ultimate Price, those don't seem like things I necessarily want either. I think you definitely want Transgress the Mind. I think you want 4 Duresses. And honestly, I think you're just cutting most of the removal. Cutting the Grasps, cutting the Ultimate Price. They do have some creatures that you do want to kill, I guess. So maybe leaving 2 Anguished Unmakings and 2 Ruinous Path in are fine. Because they also hit Planeswalkers or other pesky enchantments, or rather permanents, whereas, you know, Ultimate Price and Grasp of Darkness you can only use on creatures. I still have 5 slots, so let's get those 4 other Gideons in. And the question is, do I want Infinite Obliteration? I think I do. This name's Worldbreaker, this name's Emrakul, the Promised End. I think we're supposed to bring in both of the Infinite Obliterations. And I might be just cutting out one of the Lilianas. Oh, no, actually. If you watch the Pro Tour, Liliana was actually insane versus the Emrakul decks. Because they didn't have a way to interact with it too early, generally speaking. And when you got to Emblem, that was basically game over. So maybe I just might cut a Hollowed Moonlight here. Especially since opponent only has, what? Hangerback Walkers. I can also see bringing in the Anguished Unmaking, but I think we're going to ship it like this. And again, I'm under the assumption the opponent's on the red-green ramp to Eldrazi. So yeah, we'll ship it like this and then go to a game 2. All right, game 2 of our match between our black-white Lukas Blohon deck and what we're assuming is going to be the red-green Emrakul deck. Again, we're on the draw, but again, we have another 1-lander, so we're going to have to mulligan down to 6. And this hand is perfectly fine. It's slow, definitely, but I have good mana and Read the Bones, so we're going to keep it. And bottom the Caves of Koilos. We're looking for some Duress, some Transgress the Mind, just some early way to kind of neuter the opponent's opening hand. Ooh. Well, there's our Duress. I think I'm actually going to cast it here on turn 1, in case we can hit like a Gravel Past or something, which we indeed could. So Grapple with the Past, Hedron Archive, Nissa's Pilgrimage. Ah, right. This deck runs Sylvan Advocate. So it's possible I did want to leave in a few removal spells, hard creature removal spells, but having Ruinous Path and Anguish Unmaking should be good enough, I think. Grapple is the card that's most immediately effective for opponent. I can't obviously take the Sylvan Advocate because it's a creature. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take Grapple here, leave him with Hedron Archive, Pilgrimage, 2 Forest, and an Advocate. Seems like a fine hit. I think the opponent was playing the Advocate next turn anyways, so taking with the Grapple was not that great, but definitely decent. Another Avacyn, not exactly what we were looking for. We'll play our Shambling Vent and pass. Opponent's definitely ramping out nicely here. Next turn, we assume they're going to have that Hedron Archive. Okay, get hit down to 18. Another land to draw. Can't play Shambling Vent there. Definitely need to Read the Bones. And I want Ruinous Path. I'm not sure about this Liliana. Let's see. Might be a little bit too late for Liliana to really do much here. I think we're going to bottom the Lily and top the path. All right, well, we have 3 angels in our hand. Oh, another pilgrimage off the top, and this time with spell mastery for the opponent, so they're going to get 3 forests as opposed to 2. And that also makes their Sylvan Advocate, a 4/5 this turn. All right, I mean, I'm just going to kill that right now. I see no reason not to. I'm not really doing anything. I have a pretty poor hand. No Gideon, no Obnixilis, no Sorin. This is not exactly where you want to be with this deck. And with that Hedron Archive, the opponent does have access to colorless mana now. I think we're just going to hold up Avacyn here and see what happens. Liliana is a little bit tempting, but not exactly the Planeswalker we were looking for. I guess that's not a bad sign if the opponent's sacking their Hedron Archive. But yeah, not the most comfortable of positions right now. They have instant, sorcery, creature, artifact, which means Emrakul costs 4 less, which means all I need is 1 more land to cast her. Alright, another Hedron Archive from the opponent. This does not bode well for us, I assume. Alright, flash in the Mama, end of turn. We'll see if the opponent brought in any, like, clip wings. Ooh, that was a very nice draw. Let's see what's going on in there. This prevents me from casting Linvala, but I already have Liliana as another cast. And I think we really want to duress here. Alright, a grapple, Forest, World Breaker, and a Fiery Impulse that hits. And it looks like they took the World Breaker there. They have Gather the Pack and Traverse the Ulvenwald. Alright. I think we have to take Traverse here because they do have Delirium, so I don't want them going and finding Emrakul. But other than that, the opponent's hand is, I mean, Gather the Pack could be terrifying, obviously, but I think we have to go with the Traverse here and just uptick Liliana. And remember, that says up to, so you don't have to target your own creature. Alright, we'll get in for 4, and again, assuming the opponent doesn't sack their Hedron Archive because they need it to cast the World Breaker, but you never know. Gonna need to draw Anguished Unmaking or Ruinous Path to deal with the World Breaker. Oh wow, that's backbreaking. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I thought that was the other land where they could search for they could search for Emrakul, but was not. Ooh, Obnixilis was a perfect draw. All right, so plus Liliana again, 3 turns away from ultimating her, and we're gonna happily just kill the World Breaker. Obviously, the opponent can bring it back, but I really need to get in this damage. It's very possible the opponent just end of turns bring back the World Breaker and then kill my other Shambling Vent, but it looks like they're going to sack the Hedron Archive instead, which is obviously fine. And this is one of the reasons why Emrakul is so good versus this deck. Planeswalkers, well, if they get to control them, that could be real bad. Alright, Gather the Pack. Let's see what they hit. Hangerback Walker and 4 lands. Rather, Hangerback Walker. This is Pilgrimage, 3 lands. So good hit for us. Nothing too relevant here. If the opponent's game plan is just to play a big Hangerback Walker, we are in good shape. And this deck is sweet. Lots of Planeswalkers. I mean, Black-White has been a thing in Standard for a while now, but this iteration of it, it's definitely more mid-range, top-end. Let's see what the opponent can line up here. Yeah, Archangel Avacyn, clearly doing work. Okay, Vessel of Nascency and a Hangerback Walker. So one problem I have here is that, oh, wow, I can get Emrakul with that. One problem here I have here is that if I plus Ob Nixilis and the opponent has an Emrakul, then they get to use Ob Nixilis -3 the following turn, but since I do Infinite Obliteration, that's just irrelevant now. Gonna go ahead and name Emrakul the Promised End. Emrakul the Promised End. And let's see if the opponent has any. They do in fact have two. Two Atarkas, Worldbreaker, Sylvan Advocates, Ishkana. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess this is actually Reed Duke's list. Yeah, so the opponent's on the red-green ramp that Reed Duke was playing at the Pro Tour. Ken Yukuhiro was playing Chandras and some other things. But this is definitely, I think, the Reed list because it has the Atarkas. But yeah, happy to hit the double Emrakul here. I guess the only cards we're really worried about now are the Atarkas and maybe another Worldbreaker, but getting rid of both Emrakul is probably going to shore it up for us here. We'll draw a card, pay a life, make Hangerback Walker an 0-1, and leave the opponent on a 2-turn clock in the air. Seems very good to me. Infinite Obliteration, clearly a great draw there. Alright, we'll see what this Vessel of Nascency can find for the opponent. Hangerback, Grapple, Vessel, and Traverse the Ulvenwald. Alright. Nothing too frightening for us at the moment. And, if I hit a land, which I presumably have 2 draw steps to find, one off the regular draw and then one off Nixilis, Soren is very, very capable of dealing 4+ damage to the opponent with his +1 ability. We'll see if the opponent can find anything here to stem the bleeding. Alright, so it looks like they cast Kozilek's Return, just to get rid of their own Hangerback Walker so that they'd have 2 flyers. Okay, so I think the game plan here is to Soren plus, and if we hit a 4+ card to put the opponent to 4 or less, we use Liliana and Ob Nixilis to kill their blockers. And we hit a 3, not quite. So we're going to get rid of the Thopter. Liliana is in ult range next turn. We'll draw a card. And we'll attack in for 4. But yeah, at this point I think it's pretty impossible for the opponent to take over this game. Even a Tarka can kill one thing on my board. It can kill Archangel Avacyn or it can kill Ob Nixilis. But it couldn't take care of Soren or Liliana. Liliana in range of ulting next turn if that should be a thing. Alright, Worldbreaker the hit there for the opponent off of their other Vessel of Nascency. But this game looks all but wrapped up. I think that timely Infinite Obliteration really, really got us there, and the opponent just wasn't able to deal with any of my Planeswalkers. They really needed to find a Tarka sooner or just some more pressure. Like even the Worldbreaker here just does absolutely nothing. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Worldbreaker takes care of Avacyn, but other than that, pretty irrelevant. I get to mass zombies. I get to just do everything here. Let's start by plussing and seeing if we just kill the opponent, because clearly that would be nice. Oh, we hit a 1. Okay, so they're at 4. Which means Avacyn would be lethal if I would be able to cast her. I think now I might just Ultimate Liliana, Infinite Obliteration Atarka. Let's start with that. Infinite Obliteration on Atarka pretty much wins the game for me because the opponent doesn't have much left. What am I looking for? I'm looking for Dragon Lord Atarka. Okay, so they, in their hand, have a Kozilek's Return in Evolving Wilds. So let's take care of both of those. Well, we can actually get the Kozilek's Return off of them now, which is kind of nice. All right, let's take that. I'm going to go ahead and ultimate here. And I'm going to go ahead and kill the Worldbreaker. The opponent can bring it back, but that's fine. At this point, we're going to sit behind the emblem of Liliana and Soren, potentially killing them. Like, even though they may get that trigger from Kozilek's Return after recasting the Worldbreaker, and they take care of my last planes with the Liliana emblem and the Sorin, we should be able to win within the next few turns. I am at 10 health though. That is something of note. All right, so there's the Worldbreaker. There's the Kozilek's Return trigger. There's our planes getting exiled. There's our zombies dying. Ooh, and a Sylvan Advocate. Okay, this is a little bit problematic, but again, I think we're in pretty good shape here. We're going to, well, I could definitely play it safe and kill the Sylvan Advocate here. But remember, the opponent has a land in hand, and I'm getting 2 blockers at end of turn. I think we just plus and try to go for the throat. Land, not exactly a good hit. I don't actually want to use Ob Nixilis here, because if I do, and the opponent can kill all of my creatures, then I'm taking 9 damage, and that'll be lethal. And again, with the Emblem of Liliana, it's going to be pretty hard to lose this game otherwise. Alrighty. Vessel of Nascency for the opponent finds Ishkana, Fiery Impulse, Kozilek's Return, and a Cinderglade. So Ishkana, the card in the opponent's hand. Now, to note, the opponent has 9 cards left in their library. They're very close to just milling out at this point, oddly enough. Wow, I've actually never seen Sorin Grim Nemesis Ultimate, but here we are. Alright, so both these creatures are coming at my face. I think it's actually okay to... Well, actually... So they have Ishkana, which means they're going to get 4 blockers. So I think I just want to double block the Sylvan Advocate and chump the Worldbreaker here. Perfect. And we got a new zombie from the Sylvan Advocate dying and Kalidas being on the battlefield. I can Anguished Unmaking the Worldbreaker. And at this point, since I gained 3 as well, I think we're in good shape. A Plains would be good. Linvala would produce another flyer for us, since Ishkana is assuming to hit the battlefield. We'll see what the opponent can do, though. Alright, there's the Ishkana. It's Ruinous Path for us. Let's reveal a... Actually, can I win on board? I can kill that. Kill that. No, I'll be 1 short. So let's just hit a 4+ and kill the opponent with Sorin. Alright, and we hit a Gideon, which we have 4 of in the deck, and we didn't find one until 34 cards left, but there we have it. It's a nice look at how the black-white deck played against the red-green Emrakul ramp deck. This list being the Reed Duke list, this being the Lukas Blohon list. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. That was pretty sweet. I didn't think, from what I had heard anyways, I didn't think this deck was capable of doing very well, but you know, the opponent didn't hit their Atarkas, and I hit double infinite obliteration. So, hope you enjoyed this first look at the Gauntlet. Go down below for more videos.